my YouTube channel! Our lesson for today is about solving quadratic equations by completing the square. A quadratic equation is easily solved when the left side is factorable. But the problem arises when it cannot be factored. So, kailangan nating umisip ng isang method that works whether the equation is factorable or not. At ito ay ang completing the square. Ang main task natin dito ay makapag-produce ng isang perfect square trinomial on the left side of the quadratic equation. And then, use the square root property to solve the equation. Ang main task natin dito ay makapag-produce ng isang perfect square trinomial. At yun ay naaral nyo naman na nung grade 8 kayo, hindi ba? Okay, so let us practice now on how to make a perfect square trinomial. So, what will be added to each expression to make it a perfect square trinomial? Let's have example number 1. We have x squared plus 4x. Ano kaya yung i-add natin dito para ito ay maging perfect square trinomial, no? Perfect square trinomial, na kung saan yan ang factors, no? Yan. So, what if we add here 4? Okay? Ma'am, ang tanong, bakit 4 yung in-add natin? Okay, paano nakuha yung 4? Okay, look at the second term. Yung given kanina, dyan sa trinomial. What's the second term? The second term is 4x. Alright. What is the numerical coefficient? Okay, so the numerical coefficient is 4. If we divide 4 by 2, what will happen? Okay, so 4 divided by 2 is 2. And what is 2 squared? 2 squared is 4. Ayan. So, kaya nilagay natin yung 4. So, ang factors nitong trinomial na ito ay, yan, x plus 2 quantity squared. Okay? It is now a perfect square trinomial. Saan nakuha yung factors na yon? The first term in the binomial factor should be the square root of the first term in the trinomial. And the last term in the binomial factor is the square root of the last term. Square root of 4 is 2. Now, what about the sign? The sign here is plus, no? X plus 2. So, the sign is plus. The sign of that will depend on the sign of the middle term in the trinomial. Okay, so let's try to answer the second example. What must be added here to make it a perfect square trinomial? Okay? So, katulad nung ginawa natin sa second example, tinignan natin yung numerical coefficient of the second term. Okay? So, in this case, the numerical coefficient of the second term is 3 over 2. Okay? Or 3 halves. And then, the next step is to divide the numerical coefficient of the second term by 2. Okay, so we divide it by 2 over 1. We know very well that to divide a fraction by another fraction, you will get the reciprocal of the divisor. Okay? And then, proceed to multiplication. So, we have 3 over 2 times the reciprocal. So, the reciprocal of that is 1/2. So, meron kang 3 over 2 times 1/2, which is equal to 3 over 4. Okay, now, After dividing the coefficient of the middle term of the second term by 2, we are going to square the quotient. No? So, 3 over 2, or 3 over 4, quantity squared is 9 over 16. Okay, so we have to add here 9 over 16. And this is now a perfect square trinomial. Okay? Now, anong factors niya? We are going to factor it. So, the factors are the square root of the first term, which is x, and then the square root of the last term, which is 3/4. And the sign here should be the same with the sign of the second term. So, the factors are x minus 3/4 quantity squared. Okay, so let us now have number 3. Okay, so the same then, we're going to get the number to be added here to make this a perfect square trinomial. But as you can see, our given is not in the form of x squared plus bx because the coefficient of the x squared term here is greater than 1. Okay? So in that case, kapag ang coefficient niya ay greater than 1 ng x squared, ilabas muna natin yung 3, the coefficient of x squared. So we factor out 3 here. So 3x squared divided by 3 is x squared. Okay? Minus 6x divided by 3 is 2x. Okay. So na-factor out na natin yung 3. So ngayon, isip ka dito ng number na i-add mo in order to make this a perfect square trinomial. And that is what? Okay, 1. Bakit 1? Because the middle term is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. So, as simple as that. So, pag pinactor natin yung trinomial na yon, it is a perfect square. X squared, so the square root is x. The square root of 1 is 1. And the sign of the middle. Okay, so let's have the fourth example. So what must be added here to make it a perfect square trinomial? So, katulad ng ating example number 3, wherein the coefficient of the x squared term is greater than 1. So, we have to factor out, no? We have to factor out 2. Okay? So, we have x squared, kasi nga 2x squared divided by 2 is x squared. Plus, 13x divided by 2 is 13 over 2x. Ayan. So, isip na tayo kung ano yung i-add natin dito in order to make it a perfect square trinomial. So, katulad ng dati natin ginagawa, we get the coefficient of the second term. And the coefficient is 13 over 2. Okay? So, we divide the coefficient by 2. Okay? Or that is multiplied by the reciprocal. So, we have 13 over 2 times 1 over 2. So, you have now 13 over 4. 13 times 1 is 13. 2 times 2 is 4. Now, we are going to square the quotient. No? Square natin. So, 13 squared is 169 and 4 squared is 16. So, yan ang i-add natin dito, no? So, we add 169 over 16. Okay? So, now, this trinomial is a perfect square. So, the factors, x squared, square root of x squared is x, plus the square root of 169 over 16 is 13 over 4. Okay? Then, we bring down 2. So, ayan. Praktisado na kayo, no? sa paggawa ng isang perfect square trinomial. So we can now solve quadratic equation by completing the square. Okay, so we are now ready to solve a quadratic equation by completing the square. So number 1, x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0. Okay, so meron niyang steps. So first step, okay, ang sabi, you are going to make the left side free of the constant term. Okay, in short, aalisin mo yung constant term dito sa left side. So to remove the constant term on the left side, using APE, so you are going to add negative 8 to the left and the same with the right side. So if we add negative 8 to the left, magiging mangyayari dyan ay x squared plus 6x. At yun nga, 8 plus negative 8 is 0. So na-eliminate. Is equal to, kung ano yung ginawa mo doon, gawin mo sa right side. So, add negative 8 here. So, 0 plus negative 8 is negative 8. Ayan. Okay, natanggal natin yung constant term sa left. Okay, next step. Pangalawang step na tayo. Okay? You are going to make the left side, kasi nga, x squared plus 6x. Gagawin natin siyang perfect square trinomial. Katulad ng pre-practice natin kanina. Okay? So, we have x squared plus 6x. Dahil madali na sa atin ngayon, nagawin siyang perfect square trinomial, ano yung i-add natin dito? Okay? Very good. So, you're going to add 9 on the left side. Kasi nga, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. Is equal to negative 8. So, since you added 9 on the left side, add din tayo ng 9 dito sa right. Okay? Now, ito, katulad ng sabi natin kanina, is a perfect square trinomial. So, pag pinactor natin yan, we have x plus 3 quantity squared. O, alam nyo na yan. Then, negative na 8 plus 9 is positive 1. Ayan yung second step. Okay, and then ang third step is you are going to use the square root property. Okay? Remember yung first vlog natin, Finding this, solving quadratic equation by square root property. So you're going to get the square root of both sides. So, square root tsaka squared cancel, we have here x plus 3. Then, the square root of 1, yes, that's positive negative 1. So therefore, x plus 3 is equal to positive 1 at saka x plus 3 is equal to negative 1. Kasi nga, positive negative 1, di ba? So, x is equal to 1 minus 3. That is negative 2. Another, we have x is equal to negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. So these are the solutions. Negative 2 and negative 4. Okay, so let us check our answers, yung solutions natin. Negative 2 tsaka negative 4. From the original, so x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0. Let's substitute negative 2. So negative 2 squared plus 6 times negative 2 plus 8. Is it equal to 0? Negative 2 squared is positive 4. Okay? Plus 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. Plus 8. Is it equal to 0? 4 plus negative 12 is negative 8 plus 8 is 0. So 0 is equal to 0. So our first solution is correct. So the second solution or the second root, ikaw na ang mag-check kung tama. Okay, so let's have example number 2. Solve x squared minus 2x equals 1 by completing the square. Okay, so unlike yung example number 1, no, nakaayos na to eh. So yung left side ay wala ng constant term. Nailipat na natin sa right side. Okay, so second step na tayo. Okay, make the left side a perfect square trinomial. What are you going to add here in order to make a perfect square trinomial? Okay, very good. So we add 1. Bakit 1? 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. Okay, so since you added 1 to the left side, we also add 1 here. Okay? So, this is a perfect square trinomial. So, yung factors niya ay x minus 1 quantity squared is equal to 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, so our next step is to get the square root of both sides. No? So get the square root. So square root and then squared, cancel yon. So we have x minus 1 is equal to positive negative square root of 2. Ma'am, bakit hindi nawala yung square root doon? Because there's no square root ng 2. Okay? So, that is an irrational number. So, answer, x minus 1 equals square root of 2. Another one is x minus 1 equals negative square root of 2. Or, kapag isinolve for x to, x is equal to, okay, transposing or adding 1 to both sides. So we have 1 plus square root of 2. Okay, here, x is equal to, adding 1 to both sides, 1 minus square root of 2. So these are the solutions or the roots of the given quadratic equation. Okay, so let's now have our third and final example. Solve 4x squared minus 5x minus 6 equals 0 by completing the square. Okay, so unlike example number 2, no? Kailangan kasi yung constant term ay nag-iisa lang sa right side. So, we have to do free, no? The left side free of the constant term. So, alisin natin yon para mawala siya doon, we add positive 6 to the left. And we add also positive 6 to the right. So, we have 4x squared minus 5x. Kasi pag inadan mo ng positive 6, that is 0. Okay? Then we add positive 6 to the right. 0 plus 6 is 6. Ayan. So, nagsolo na ang constant term sa right. Okay. Kaya lang, yung nasa left side natin, the coefficient of the x squared term is greater than 1. Okay? So, kailangan ay i-factor out natin yung 4. So, 4x squared divided by 4 is x squared, minus 5x divided by 4 is 5 over 4x. Is equal to 6. Ayan. Kaya lang may 4, ano? Alisin muna natin yung 4 para wala na tayong problema. So we can remove 4 here by dividing both sides by 4. Okay? So 4 over 4 is cancelled. That is 1. So ang matitira dito is x squared minus 5 fourths x is equal to, pag i-lowest term mo yan, that is 3 over 2. Ayan. So, pwede na tayong umisip ng i-add dito na para maging perfect square trinomial yon. Okay, so ano kaya ang i-add natin? The second term is 5 over 4. We divide it by 2 over 1. Or, we get the reciprocal of the divisor. So, 1/2. Then, we proceed to multiplication. So, we have 5 over 8. Okay. Now, you are going to square it. So, we have 25 over 64. So, we have to add 25 over 64 dyan. Ganon din sa kabila. Plus 25 over 64. Now, the left side is already a perfect square trinomial. Na kung saan ang factors niya ay x, no? Yung square root niyan, minus square root niyan. 5 over 8. Quantity squared. Ngayon, ano mangyayari dito sa right side? Mukhang mahirap So, we have 3 over 2 plus 25 over 64. Magkaiba ng denominator. What's the LCD? Okay, the LCD is 64. So, 64 divided by 2 is 32. Times 3 is 96. Ayan. Burahin ko at baka malit dito. Okay? Then, plus 64 divided by 64 is 1 times 25 is 25. So, 96 plus 25. Ano ba yan? 121. Alright. Over 64. Ayun, tama. So, this is 121 over 64. So, ano yung susunod na step? Correct! You are going to get the square root of both sides. Kasi applying the square root property, ano? So, square root, tsaka yung square na yon, cancel yon. So, we have x minus 5 over 8 is equal to, ano square root niya? Square root of 121 is, okay, positive, negative, 11. Square root of 64 is 8. So, that's positive, negative, 11 over 8. Okay, so, we have here x minus 5, 8 is equal to positive, negative, 11 over 8. So, i-solve natin yung x, no? So, x minus 5 over 8 equals 11 over 8. No, positive. So, para mawala ito, on the left side, we add positive 5 over 8 on the left. Same with the right side. So, we have x equals 11 over 8 plus 5 over 8. What is 11 over 8 plus 5 over 8? Alright, that is 16 over 8 or 2. So, that is the value of x. Okay, the other solution. So, we have x minus 5 over 8 equals negative 11 over 8. Kasi nga, positive, negative 11 over 8. So, we add positive 5 over 8 sa left, same with the right. So, x, magiging mawawala yon, is equal to negative 11 over 8 plus 5 over 8. So, x is negative 11 plus 5 is negative 6 over 8. Or, that is negative 3 over 4. So, ayan yung solutions natin. X equals 2 and x equals negative 3/4. Okay, so that's all for now, guys. No? Ang dali-dali na mag-solve ng quadratic equation kahit na hindi siya factorable using completing the square. Bye guys!